G'day, g'day. Welcome back. Got a few parcels and a few goodies rock up, so we'll open them and get stuck into hopefully maybe just sitting the trans up and mounting the goodies we've got. See how we go. Let's open it up, maybe. Just got to get a sharp object. This is what I'll change gears with. It is a B&M ratchet shifter. I think they call it the Stealth from memory. But nice bit of kit. I won't need that because it's actually going to be, oh Jesus, it's dented to the shit out of us. So, big bulge, big dent. Oh well. I paid, I think it's like $430. So well over half price. Yeah, so I'm not going to really complain much. Oh, geez, it's a nice bit of kit. I will modify this because I want this to be in the factory VS Commodore surround. So I've got to modify this little lever so it's in the center, so I don't have to cut anything, but yeah, cool bit of kit. And there you're stuck in neutral, unlatch it, reverse, park. They do have two parks because they're good for other transmissions. But all the bracketry, cable, I'll work out how to mount that because it doesn't really say much about the old BTR transes. So see what happens. Gonna yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretty excited about this. Just sitting it in place at the moment. I'm probably just gonna drip, like you can get these from you, pull it everywhere, but I just want to sit this in place and just sort of look at it and just be excited about it. So I've semi-marked where the lockout lever is. I'll just do a small little elongated hole and just to sit it in there. And then I'll probably leave it and never end up bending that lever anyway and just putting up with it. That's it. It's not mounted, it still slides, but it's just sitting in this. Gotta get this cigarette thingamajiggy and then the park and stuff, and then still working out what to do about the lights. Might get one of those Dakota, don't know what it's actually called, there's some Dakota thing anyway. It lights up as you shift, it changes for you as it goes park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Here's a trick for the old young players that are out there. They come set up as a 3-speed, these ratchets. For ages, I had it like sitting in the car, just like screwed in, just piss farting around with it. I was like, no, something's not right here. And obviously did the typical male thing and didn't need to read this, but you do. Comes set up as a 3-speed. And technically, it's not a jam 4-speed I'm putting in, but it's very, very similar. It's the EL trans. I have to remove pin B, which I have not. That explains why I only had 3 gears. Couldn't work it out for ages. It'd just like sit funny on this, get to this point, like, you know, shift, and it would sit like that. And I was like, maybe I need to grind it down. Nope. Laid in my camp room last week in camp before I was at work and read the information they give you, the instructions. They are there for a reason, I guess. So yeah, we'll set it up as this one here. Because I was clicking, I was counting them. I was like, I'm only getting 7 counts. Like, I'm only getting 7 out of it. What's going on? but that'll be why. Here we go, so I've got it just screwed in here. The drop box isn't even mounted. These are little latches, if you can see them. So we're in park, so there's 2 parks with these ratchet shifters, not sure why. But second park, reverse, neutral, drive. 3, 2, 1. You see that latch that's all the way back. It's all the way back. It's first, second, third, drive, neutral, reverse, park 1, park 2, and she's done. Bloody oath. It's been a hot minute. It's been a couple of weeks since I fitted this. Well, put it in there to do it. But we're going to get into actually putting the trans on the bottom, or dummy fitting it from the bottom, and actually probably blowing all this all out and mounting the drop box correctly. Because at the moment it's just the actual drop box in here is just sitting there. So we'll get that. I'll pressure clean the trans so it's not filthy while I'm trying to play with it, and then start running the cable to make it all do its cool things. This is my transmission. No, it's not built, and it probably will break. But we just got to get it in and get the car moving. And then we'll work out converter, trans, power wise. It's out of like I think they're 96 to 98 EL. So it is a 4-speed. So I've written it because I've got to work out the shifter lever and stuff. So it's park, you know, reverse drive, 3, 2, 1. Fun fact, an XH manual tail shaft will fit in the back of the trans. The splines will line up. So I've got an XH tail shaft because it's solid. So I'm going to get it cut and shortened. So I've got a solid tail shaft, and then I'll put a yoke, or not a yoke, I don't know, a loop, tail shaft loop around it. So it's a solid tail shaft, so we don't have no centre bearing coming through the bottom of the car. But yeah, give it a clean and get stuck into making the shifter latch. Let that soak for a minute, just smashed it with degreaser. I have had the trans for, I don't know, 3 years now, and it's just sat either on the ground or on a tyre or on this stand here, the old motorbike stand. So it is probably well and truly due for a good clean, so I'll get a little bit of a brush, throw it back in a time lapse, and keep cleaning, I guess. That way it's nice and neat and clean when I'm putting it up. Obviously, see if I can get AN fittings to this to be able to run the trans cooler at the front. Trans cooler's obviously going to try and keep it happy as possible, but I guess with a turbo behind it, see how it holds up, I guess. She's a bit disgusting. Give you the hot tip. Oh, there goes my safeties. Definitely underestimated how much spray back I was going to get. Didn't really see out of them, but it's nicer. It's obviously definitely, I guess, the looks of it's had a different housing fitted some long down the track, I guess. But probably 20 years of grime gone. Looks better, looks easier to handle. It'd be nice if all of it come off, but I guess my little Bunnings pressure cleaner, it's only a little bad boy, she's only small. but she's done the job. We'll get it back in the shed and get the car in the air and see what we can do. Turn consoles out. Probably should have mounted the drop box before I put the car back in a couple months ago. Probably a year or so ago actually, I'll lie. So when I cut the tunnel, because you got to cut the tunnel to fit these in, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure, like, from memory I didn't cut much. I might have a photo I might be able to put in. You could still stick the standard shifter back in if you really wanted to. So I'm going to pull this out, start drilling the holes, silicon and this from the bottom and the top, just because we don't want any fumes or any water coming in, and go from there. Get this mounted, probably get this mounted where it is now, maybe shift it across a little bit, again drilling silicon, and then I will work out where I need to drill the hole for the cable once I get the trans up, and I've got to find the trans mounts. There you go. I think old tunnel would have ended there, across like that, and then a small snip across here. It's not heaps. It's a pity the holes don't line up, so you'd be able to snip them in, but fairly confident you could fit the original shifter in if you really wanted to. Wouldn't be able to tell you if I've got one. Probably been put in the bin by now. But get into drilling holes and painting these edges so they don't rust, I guess. Haven't siliconed it yet, but I've mounted it. Solid. I've done it in screws instead of rivets because if I ever, like, you know, crash the car or get defected, I want to be able to pull this out and either change it to the next Commodore or whatever. So I've screwed it. I haven't siliconed it because it's going to come out, because obviously I need to drill a hole for the cable. But what I am going to do is nut and bolt the actual shifter. So that'd be properly nut and bolted. It'd be a pain in the ass trying to do up some nuts from the bottom when it's just me here, but we're going to do that now, mark it out and drill it and go from there. Been a hot minute. I've had to drill, I think it was a 13mm hole in the front, but I've obviously had to dry grind it a bit because the cable goes in on an angle. I've siliconed the drop box, I've screwed it down, so hopefully it doesn't have to come back out, otherwise it's going to be great fun. Just got this sitting at the moment because I can't reach both sides of the car to do up the nuts and bolts, so I'm going to go in the air and move the cable out the way and probably start putting the box up, but it's coming along. After a bit of box sorting and searching, had another box full of Barra parts. This mounts like that, that then mounts to there. So, took me, I was looking at it thinking, what is going on here? This doesn't line up, something's wrong. But no, operator error. Plus, I don't really have the right bolts, so I'm just using what's in the shed. These are not bad looking bolts, I've got a lot of these, so I might, oh yeah, that's sick. That is smooth, cool. I didn't know that until just now. Sweet. We'll work out what we're going to do there and get back to you. Wouldn't believe it, I have a helicoil kit, so might just throw a helicoil in it and then see how that goes. If not, I might just nut and bolt both sides. I'll just drill that one out and nut and bolt it. Unfortunate. That's helicoiled. So the coil in there. So if you don't know what a helicoil is, it's literally just a insertable thread. Oh, where is it? You drill it to a bigger size. Obviously this thread was shagged anyways. Well, not that drill bit. This little stubby one is what comes in the kit. Comes with the little tap as well. So that's the kit. You drill it to this size, which is bigger than this. So well, bigger than the original thread. Tap it, which the tap then winds this in. When you get to a certain point, you wind it in with that, and then you're meant to use this because it collects the little bit that I snapped off before. I can't remember where it's gone. Anywho, so there's a little tab. That's what catches on the bottom of this. As you wind it in, then you use this to punch through like that. You're meant to give it a tap, and that'll break off that little tab, and then you have a thread. Obviously not the strongest, not the best idea, but in this case it's fine. I wouldn't go putting on like head studs. Oh, you probably could 1 or 2 head studs, but if you've got, you know, 5 out of 7, you probably don't want to be doing that. You probably just want to get a new head. But no, that should work, hopefully. Get back into it. Well, I've got it up there. Didn't feel much of it because my daughter was in the shed. Don't really want it on YouTube, but they're tough mounts. They've done it again. Definitely a good bit of kit, that's for sure. So now I'll pin the cable over here, work out where it's going to run and around, and then work out the shifter setup. Because it has to be this direction, so it goes do 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 do. Yeah. So that's the standard one for the EO. Just dummy rigged a bit of steel. We'll cut it out and see how it goes. But if all works, that will go on there like that, that angle. Work out offsets, but it should be right. Should clear, and that should work. So that's park, reverse, such. I've used this measurement. The boys at Hack Shop Garage, they did a very similar thing to an EO. I think it was a Fairmont or Fairlane or something. But they did 49 mil from that center point of the shifter shaft to where for the actual thingo bob that goes on the end of that. So I'll do what they've done and see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we'll just have to elongate the hole a bit and work it out and then remake it. So there we go. This is the concoction so far. So what I'll do, if this piece works, I'll trim it shorter obviously, but I'm also going to cut this piece here and weld that to this obviously for strength. I'll weld it to like here because this is only thin, so you can't have too thick a bracket, but this I think is the GME bracket maybe, not GME, the GM bracket, the Commodore bracket. So that's, I've had to trim, these lips here come down for some reason, so I've trimmed it up inside there and I'll space it. So what I'll do is I'll work out the spacing correctly and I'll weld those spaces to this bracket. But I'm about to drop it down from the hoist and see how it shifts. Thinking. I might tap a thread and put a P-clamp there, like that, to pin that, so then it's not down like that, or I can pin it, I don't know, I'll work that one out after. But for now, it can just sit like that. It's coming along. I got 2 G'd up, so it's never going to work really, because it's first shot. Nothing ever works on first shot. The increments on the shifter are smaller than the ones on the gearbox, so in fairness, the boys in Hack Shop Garage, they ran it around the front like that, so that could change the distance here and here, obviously. But what's happening is by the time you just get to dirt, well, technically dirt on the shifter for drive, you're at first gear on the gearbox already. So, it's like doing shifts like that, and then like that, and you're at dirt, and you're like, there's nothing left to go. So I might try and run around the front, see what I can do, but just keep trial and error, up and down, up and down. Gonna have to think about it overnight. I've tried the way that the Hack Shop boys did it, but obviously where it's mounted in the car, the Falcon one might be a bit forwards more, maybe. I don't know at the moment. But I did it very similar style. Tapped into the side of the box, etc. But it just, that's out of park, and then that's as far as I can get. It's too much tension on the cable, it clicks back into park. So have to do the old, make a little adjuster and get it right, I guess. See how we go. Trial and error. But that's for another day. I'm a bit bummed, I'm a bit hungry too.
Many months later.
It has been a hot minute. It's probably been 2 months since I first started filming the shifter, but had a bit happening. Birthdays, whatnot, but got it done. She's mounted, made the bracket, it'll clear everything. Once the box is in here properly, it's just currently hanging. I'll mount the rest of this cable here. Might tap a screw and put a P-clamp there, or just use a P-clamp off this side here. But it shifts. The black lines, as you can see on the box, like your neutral, reverse drive, 1, 2, and 3. So really 1, 2, 3 that direction. But bit of trial and error. It was a bit of a. This is how I did it. So that's gearbox, and this was the pin of the shifter cable. So had to connect it and just sit there and wind this to get it. I watched a video from the Hack Shop Garage boys. They gave measurements, so I tried that, but they are the ones that come up with this little idea, and I just sort of made an uglier version, but it worked in the end. Got me to where I needed it to be. Couldn't tell you what the distance was, to be honest. I didn't really measure it. I just did the old draw, and then cut it to a smaller size. But got there in the end, finally. Bit of a process. We'll actually, once I get the car running, we'll tell you if it actually works, to be honest. It probably doesn't even work properly, but it seems to all work here, like that. If you go down there, I did it all by myself, so I'd have to shift gears, get underneath, and shift once, go check where it's at, like I had to mark it on the box, which you've seen previous, and then go from there. Happy days. On to the next things. A few more cheeky stuff has rocked up, so that'll be the next episode. Now that the shift is done, I'm going to go to U-Pull and get a few more little bits and bobs from the interior. I'm going to put that back together, and let's just hope that it works. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, when the car is running, if it ever gets running. I'm not sure what the next episode will be. We might tackle the alternator and starter wiring for the motor. Actually get the motor sitting in and finish off that battery stuff. So see what happens. Cheers for watching.